The world's biggest mega project, the line in Saudi Arabia, has finally begun construction that is shown in a drone footage. The project has been hotly debated in the past several months, and most have claimed that it is too large to construct and more resembles something from a science fiction film. Now that the construction has started, how will things turn out? Will the line end up being a trillion-dollar construction blunder that is eventually abandoned? Or could this mark the start of biggest mega project the world has ever seen? Let's dive deeper into this and find out. Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, revealed the line's exact plan and design in July 2022. He proposed in creating two skyscrapers that would span 170 kilometers through the desert, each being 500 meters tall and made of reflective glass. This would be the same as two lines of 2,001 World Trade Centers each. The line is not only the largest mega project ever proposed, but also a new innovative way of living. There wouldn't be any cars in the city, and everything you need would be accessible on foot in just 5 minutes. More so, any water use will come from a carbon-free desalination plant. All the energy would be produced through wind and solar farms. As a result of all of this, the line would become a zero-carbon city. There was a mix of emotion in response to the outrageous proposal. There was also hardly any information about what was happening on the construction site, even though the trailers had been viewed millions of times on YouTube and other platforms. This led to the widespread assumption that the line was merely a publicity gimmick. But then, about 3 months after Mohammed bin Salman's introduction, events took an unexpected turn. On October 19 of 2022, the construction of the line officially began. Drone footage of the site was released by OT Sky. The excavation trenches will serve as the line's foundation are being seen dug by excavators in the video. The excavation already extends quite a distance inland, based on the drone footage. Although it's difficult to say how far it goes, they might be very near the mountains in the background. The line begins at this bay and runs through these mountains, according to the official map of Neom's website. The footage was probably shot somewhere around this area due to the topography and because you can see the sea in the distance. Therefore, the excavations may already be 10 to 20 kilometers long. Additionally, additional infrastructures are being constructed around the entire project. There are several developments that can be seen on Google Maps. There is a large area with offices, camps, a Neom community with a football field and swimming pools, and a Neom Experience Center nearby the mountains. There is nothing like this anywhere in the world. So now that construction has begun, how could this possibly turn out? So we are left to guess what will take place next. However, we can say that there are essentially 3 possible results. The first possibility is that construction on the line will end in a few months or even years without any residents moving in, like the Jeddah Tower or the Dubai Creek Tower. It might become a project whose progress is unclear. Beautiful renderings were displayed in both instances, and lofty claims were made. Construction was started, and it looked like the buildings would be finished. But after that, everything stopped, and no progress has been made since. Nevertheless, given that the line has the support of an entire nation and has drawn considerable global attention, this seems to be a less likely outcome for it. If the project were to even come close to completion, there would likely be a great opportunity to draw more tourists and investors to Saudi Arabia. The second possibility is that Saudi Arabia invests heavily in its present plans and succeeds in achieving the objectives it outlined in its vision for the next decades. Certain concepts, such as eliminating vehicles, producing only renewable energy, and applying the concept of vertical living, may absolutely be implemented. But given the project's sheer enormity, it will seem impossible to complete. We previously mentioned that the One World Trade Center, which took around 8 years to finish, and the line are intended to be comparable in height. Even if that's still a respectable amount of time, Saudi Arabia plans to erect a building that is 170 kilometers long and the same height. In the essence, this would be the same erecting 2001 World Trade Center in a row. Additionally, since there are 2 of these lines in the project, it would be like constructing 4,000 of them. We would arrive to a total of 32,000 years if we multiplied each by 8 years. Obviously, Saudi Arabia could begin working on numerous portions at once. so they would construct them much more quickly, but it still effectively conveys the enormity. It would take hundreds of years to complete. Another example is the 17-year construction of the Three Gorges Dam in China, which required about 40,000 employees. It is, however, quite little in comparison to the line, standing at 180 meters tall and 2.3 kilometers long. Yet, there is a third potential outcome. Considering they have already begun building, a compromise may be reached. Before we move forward, at the start of the video, we pondered if the line might be the greatest mega project humanity has ever seen or a trillion-dollar construction blunder. I want to ask if you think it is possible or not. You can share your opinions below at the comment section. Now going back, according to public opinion, if anyone has a chance to construct it, it would be Saudi Arabia, but perhaps not to the absurd extent they had envisioned. Since each part of the line is designed to be a 5-minute stroll, the massive project could simply be developed in stages. They may simply increase the length as needed depending on demand. Additionally, the project might be made much more realistic and simpler to construct by adjusting the height of the line. The idea of vertical living stays the same at half the height, and all of the features could still be implemented. Even if the line is constructed on a much lesser scale, it may be the first contemporary metropolis to be car-free and introduce a whole new way of living to the world. There are several efforts being made all around the world to reduce the number of cars in cities. However, they haven't gone as far as banning automobiles entirely. Instead, they've focused on minimizing car usage. It is quite difficult to change this because the vehicles dominate most large cities. They have a chance to start again with the line. It could be the first major metropolis in the 21st century where there are no more automobile trips. A community essential facilities should all be accessible by foot. If not, lengthier trips through the whole line can be made using the proposed underground train system. By 2030, the first residents may be residing in the hypothetical high-tech civilization, but on a much lesser scale. Which of these possibilities is the most probable then? What are the opinions of professionals on this crazy project? Few experts will say that the project is doable, especially given the relatively short schedule. I want to be clear about this. Neom is a complicated, daring, and extremely ambitious enterprise and is most definitely not an easy one to fulfill, said Antony Vives, Chief Urban Planning Officer of Neom, to CNBC. However, we are moving forward strongly, and it's amazing to watch the idea come to life. On the other side, many specialists who aren't working on the project are raising other issues. There would be so many physical and environmental phenomena that would have to be dealt with to get the really simple and distinct character that the representations offer. Marshall Brown, an architecture professor at Princeton University, told The Zine. So, what's your opinion about the line? Will this project be successful now that development is underway? Will there truly be residences there in the future? Or will this idea become a mega project that is abandoned? Let us know in the comments below. We appreciate your support and interest in our videos, and we hope to see you in the next one. Remember to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more updates.